안녕하세요. 매일매일 운동하기를 실천하고 있는 동탄 왕호입니다. 쉬는 날 몸이 좀 안 좋았어요. 하루 운동 안 했는데 은근슬쩍 또 하루 넘어가도록 하겠습니다. 오늘은 그래서 운동을 좀 많이 해보고 오늘 좀 컨디션이 좀 돌아온 것 같아서 돌아왔는데 돌아온 것 같지도 않고 야간 출근을 해야 됩니다. 오늘 밤에 일단 최대한 운동을 최대한 많이 하고 씻고 잠을 자도록 하겠습니다. 지금 운동할 때 CMA이죠.
Faster, we ask the important question. What is the truth? This is CNNArabic.com.
As we close out Pride Month and 1 week after Carl Nassib of the Las Vegas Raiders came out as the NFL's first active player to announce he's gay, now the league's releasing a new video supporting LGBTQ Americans. I want you to take a look at this. Well, I mean, you know, we've always known football is gay. Have you seen the uniforms and all the padding? And anyways, it finishes with a message of support from the Trevor Project, an organization that works to prevent suicide in LGBTQ youth. That is the important part of all of this. So everyone, happy Pride. Thank you for watching. Our coverage continues.
In London, and this is CNN.
The journey to the top for a successful business in Africa starts with an idea. But how does a concept become a moneymaker? African and global industry leaders share their stories. On Profit Point in CNN Marketplace Africa in association with Dangote.
There is a lot to chili peppers than just their fiery, hot flavor. Chili peppers have more vitamin C than oranges, and they're a good source of vitamin B6. They also contain a compound called capsaicin, which gives chili pepper its spicy kick. And studies suggest that capsaicin can provide weight loss by curbing your appetite and boosting your metabolism. Capsaicin has also been associated with a lower risk of heart disease and cancer. Acidic ingredients can help neutralize the spice. Add to your dish some lemon or lime juice, chopped tomatoes, or a dash of wine. And dairy products are also a great way to cool down chili pepper. For a creamier dish, add yogurt or sour cream. And harder cheeses that are grated or shredded can add texture, perfect for a bowl of chili.
To understand Italy, you need to look at the food. So, Bologna. I'm here to discover how an obsession with perfection drives its producers.
If you don't believe in God, you believe in tortellini. It's like a religion.
People here really know how to wait.
25 years old.
Whoa, it really is good for the best things in life.
This is made with love.
It's just one of the most delicious things on earth.
Stanley Tucci, Searching for Italy, Sunday on CNN.
is CNN.
Hello, I'm John Horse, and coming up on CNN Newsroom.
Right now, our top priority is search and rescue and find the people.
As rescue work continues almost a week after the collapse of a residential high-rise in Florida, new details emerge about compromised state of the building, abundant cracking in concrete columns, corroded and exposed rebar. More transmissible and more resistant to vaccines as the Delta variant of the coronavirus spreads worldwide. Authorities once again ordering snap lockdowns and implementing travel bans. And the climate crisis is now. Temperatures have soared to new records from Canada to the US, from Western Russia to the Arctic Circle, and the northern summer is barely a week old. Well, from Australia to South Africa to Germany and beyond, the rapid spread of the Delta variant of the coronavirus is forcing many countries to reimpose lockdowns as well as other pandemic restrictions, with health officials warning even those who've been vaccinated are at risk of being infected. Los Angeles County public health officials are strongly recommending face masks be worn indoor public places regardless of vaccination status. And on Monday, Moscow and St. Petersburg set new daily records for coronavirus deaths. More than 10 million Australians, more than a third of the entire population, will soon be under a lockdown, with authorities issuing stay-at-home orders for 4 of the 8 capital cities. Meantime, in Europe, cases have fallen dramatically, but they slowly are on the rise in the UK, and most cases are now linked to the Delta variant. Despite the rising number of infections, authorities in Britain expect the final COVID restrictions will be lifted in 3 weeks. The World Health Organization's top scientist says vaccinated or not, everyone must practice caution because variants still pose a major threat to the international community. COVID vaccines only provide up to 90% protection against them.
Everyone should recognize this pandemic's not over. The virus hasn't gone. In fact, it's looking for opportunities to spread and to change itself, mutate and develop new variants. So I think this is the time for caution. It's not that nobody can travel or do anything, but this is really not the time for us to encourage a lot of social mixing, to encourage mass events, especially without precautions, wherever you live in the world, because these variants, they travel around the world even before you recognize that there's a new variant. And so even in countries that are, having higher rates of vaccination, I think this is the time still to be very cautious. And we should remember that a large part of the world still doesn't have enough vaccines even to protect their most vulnerable people. And we need to be getting vaccines out to them.
After an initial outbreak in Sydney, new coronavirus infections linked to the highly contagious Delta variant have been recorded across Australia, with a lockdown ordered for Perth in the west, as well as Townsville and Magnetic Island in the north, as well as Darwin. And officials worry that lockdown measures may not be effective against this new strain, while a slow vaccine rollout has also left the country especially vulnerable. CNN producer Agnes Watson is live for us outside a vaccination hub in Sydney. So this is pretty much the only reason, the only excuse anyone has for leaving their home right now, and that's to get vaccinated, right?
Absolutely, John. It is one of the very few reasons, and I can tell you that people are coming out in force to get their vaccine. People here know that this is their ticket out of lockdowns like the one that's being imposed here in Sydney for a 2-week period. We're a little bit into that now, but cases of the Delta variant provoking authorities to say this is what needs to be done. And that's happening across the entire country. As you mentioned, Queensland, Northern Territory, West Australia, lockdowns and lockdown announcements that seem like you're traveling back in time to the beginning of the pandemic. People here worried that Australia has lost the advantage that it had early on when it was keeping coronavirus at bay through strict quarantine measures and border closures. People here, especially now, premiers of states like Anastasia Palaszczuk, the Queensland Premier, saying this today.
I am absolutely furious about this. We need to make sure that we are getting our population vaccinated right across the state. Now, this leaves us with no option.
So Australia's vaccination rate, as you know, John, is dangerously low. Under 5% of the population are fully vaccinated. The government last night deciding that that needs to change. Vaccines now mandatory for people working with vulnerable populations in aged care and for people working at those border quarantine zones where the virus is getting in. This Delta variant is emerging, breaking through those walls, those barriers that Australia had set up and were working so well for the country before this latest variant showed its head, John.
Which is odd when you think about the low vaccination rate, considering how high vaccination levels are for pretty much everything else there in Australia. It's a bit of a mystery, that one. Angus, thank you. Angus Watson live in Sydney with very late. We appreciate it. For more now on the coronavirus and the Delta variant, we're joined by Dr. Jorge Rodriguez, a board-certified internal medicine specialist, as well as a viral researcher. Dr. Jorge Rodriguez, it's good to see you.
Likewise, John.
Okay, so when it comes to highly contagious and the Delta variant, there is this new research from Australia. It's based on CCTV footage. Health officials suspect it has been transmitted in scarily fleeting encounters of roughly 5 to 10 seconds between people walking past each other in an indoor shopping area in Sydney in at least 2 instances. It's been described as a gold medalist for transmission. There's also been 100% infection rates in Australian households where it's been introduced. So given all of that, are you confident that these non-pharmaceutical measures, these lockdowns, social distancing, wearing masks, can be effective now as they were a year ago?
No, I don't believe that they will be as effective now as they were a year ago. This data that you gave is actually incredible. I was reading about it today. It seems that there was proof that even 30 minutes after someone passed through the same air that someone had been through that had it, they got infected. At the end of the day, John, the message that we've been talking about for a year and a half stays the same. The more infections there are, the more mutations will happen. And the mutations that will survive are the ones that are the fittest and the most infectious. And this Delta variant is the case in point. So nobody seems to say this, so let me say this. If you have access to a vaccine and you choose not to take a vaccine, you are part of the problem. You are what is causing spread and what is causing mutations. I can't be any clearer than that.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It's worth saying, as bluntly as that too. It should also be noted that at the end of April, the WHO seemed to quietly revise its guidance regarding transmission of the coronavirus, saying that it is in fact airborne, and it's the main way that it spreads. Isn't that sort of information crucial, deserves a lot more attention than a slight tweak on a website, especially given how contagious the Delta variant might just be?
I agree 100%. I think at the beginning, and I have been guilty of that, we thought that it wasn't airborne because the information wasn't there. And even in our medical building, there was one doctor that says, there's data showing that it's airborne, so we got new filters and everything. People need to realize that this is airborne, and the viruses that are going to survive are the ones that are even more infectious airborne, like what's happened in Australia and in Russia and in Israel again. So we need to be aware that even if vaccinated, we still need to take precautions, including masks in large gatherings.
I want you to listen to the White